All right, gonna see if it is proper. There we go. All right, everything seems to be working well. Lovely. Welcome to another drawing stream. Instead of doing another abomination from the mythological world of hell and whatever else, we're doing another one with James Krake. And also, we've dragged Bezagon to it too, against his will, because I'm just that tacky. So we're gonna continue the cyber chick. I have no idea how I'm gonna continue, but hey, it's gotta be done one way or another. And now, for introductions, let's start with the least important first, Bezic, and then to James Krake.
I thought you were going to introduce yourself first. You said least important.
Now this is my channel, and I don't need a dimension.
I am Bezic, also known as the Trym's editor and producer and actual brain.
Also, Wrangler. We can't forget Wrangler.
Yes, a sort of Trym Wrangler, but more so, gamer, YouTuber extraordinaire.
Yes.
Idiot Wrangler at the Sultans.
As you can see, you have your hands full.
Indeed.
Alrighty, and...
So, yeah, I'm second then.
Huh?
I'm James Krake, a self-published author, science fiction mostly. I have an epic fantasy web novel, and I am joined tonight by a 2-year-old Labrador who wants to play fetch right now, so you might hear her running around.
Aw, that's cute.
No.
I approve this.
Yes, poopy dogs.
So, today we actually have, instead of the usual stuff where Bezic or Chris or whoever else decides to torture me with fun facts and other memery, we have subjects, weirdly enough. And today we're going to talk a little bit about James Krake's newest works. What was the name of your newest book?
So my third book is titled Infinite Money Glitch, and I think as of an hour ago, you'll be able to find it on Amazon. I'm going to check that right now.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, you can find the Kindle version on Amazon right now, Infinite Money Glitch by James Krake.
Hell yeah.
The release date will be December 5th, and it is my attempt at comedy. And I think it's funny, but does that really mean anything?
Well, I mean, if it's fun.
Remember? Good start.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the GameStop short squeeze that happened last year?
Of course.
Yeah, the one that became its own fucking thing. That was awesome.
Yeah, the absolute insanity and abject corruption. I lost a bunch of money in that. I don't know if you guys lost any money there.
Nah, I was fortunate enough not to join in it, but if I had enough money, I would have just for the memes of it.
Yeah, I got screwed. I missed the peak price by literally $2. I was wrong on my guess, so I didn't sell anything.
Oh. God damn it!
And that left a deep-seated anger for Wall Street deep in my heart. Channel that into this book.
Perfect. Hopefully, you'll make back your money and then some.
Oh yeah. So the book is a heist novel, and that's what I'm officially classifying it as, because it fits just about every checklist item you could have for a heist. It's a team of guys that figure out an opportunity to make a bunch of money, and they have to go through and pull off this big adventure to set the stage. And then because it's following the narrative arc, which about the GameStop short squeeze, which that got memed and popular because you could see a narrative in it. It was a David and Goliath moment. And I used that as the basis for this book. And the idea is that the main characters are NPCs in a super advanced video game. And they find a way to screw over the players and basically rob the system of all of its money if they can cause basically a short squeeze.
Oh, very nice.
Lovely. Hello, Isidro. Welcome.
Always happy to see Wall Street getting screwed.
Yes. I just
So
greeted
in
someone
the
who dropped in
capital
chat.
of
Sorry.
instead of Wall Street, because it takes place inside a video game, they're largely screwing the developers. Because you may have noticed over the course of the last 12 months, Blizzard has been a wonderful example of like the worst imaginable company. So that was my.
Yeah, like what's the name of it? Is it going to be something like Mechanical Pictures or something? Electronic Arts? Oh wait, that's actually a real one.
I don't think the devs have. I don't think I named the company. I just named the game is Reborn Isles 5.
Oh. So yeah, so it's Bethesda.
Well, judging by the amount of glitches in the game that cause actual plot points, it may as well be a Bethesda game.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as you said Reborn Isles 5, I mean, that sounds a lot like a Bethesda series.
So I'm almost worried that the book isn't approachable if you're not a gamer, because there's just a lot of gamer culture in the book. Like the NPCs are fully human essentially, but they don't have general access to the internet. But they do have the ability to watch players who are streaming the game. So there's like I have some Twitch humor in there about like, well, if you just pull up the Russians, they're literally just streaming anime, and if you watch their stream, you can watch anime.
Anime with hard bass in the background.
That I have a lot of stuff in there like that, and there's a bunch of speedrunner humor. Like one of the characters is a guy trying to speedrun to level 100. He's one of the characters, and I'm kind of worried that if you're not into that kind of scene, you don't like know that speedrunning is a thing and why people watch it. That might be a miss for some people, but like the majority of the story is about the absolute indignation that the tutorial zone merchant has for how he's treated by players and by the developers.
Sounds kind of glorious.
So he's one of the main characters?
He is the main character, and he is joined by like an epic level golem who's just his friend. He ends up having to cooperate with like a skeleton, technically a lich, but because of censorship laws that get implemented, he was forcibly changed into a skeleton, and he's still pissed about that.
Wow, oppression of the worst kind.
Yeah, he lost all of his meat parts.
Oh, that's gonna sting.
Yeah, that'd hurt. That'd hurt.
Yeah, and he can't afford a resurrection, and that's why he joins up for the heist.
Well, just wondering, have you read the book Mogworld by Ben Yahtzee? It kind of reminds me a bit about that, but it wasn't this intricate. Let's put it like that. I
actually really liked Mogworld, and I also read Yahtzee Crowshaw's second book, Jam, and didn't find it nearly as good because he kind of branched out of video games. But maybe I was just like a dumb teenager at the time.
Yeah, I tried to go into Mogworld, but I ended up falling out. But I've always wanted to go back to finishing Jam. I really like Mogworld too, though. That was. I was gonna say this though. The part when you say NPCs doing a heist, it made me think of that. You know, when the main villain NPC, just before the end of the book, what he was trying to do there. That's basically what I imagine. You know, the NPC thinks he can talk to God.
So I read Mogworld like 15 years ago when it came out. I don't remember that part very well. I remember that he was joined by like the most bizarre rogue imaginable. They just found it insufferable until they figured out that the reason he was doing that was so he wouldn't get turned into a player character.
Yes.
Which I thought that was actually really clever.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then, of course, you had that duo of that weird, strangely rapey feeling elf and that dwarf who was incredibly bored.
So I would be lying if I said there weren't similarities between my book and Mog World. Although I will defend myself and say that's just because there's fundamental similarities when you're talking about, a real world, air quotes, video game. There's only so many things you can do, and such as, the antagonist refuses to believe that the programs are basically human. That's just like a classic antagonist trait, right?
Yeah. But there's the one thing, though, as I said, while it's kind of similar, it's like comparing Deus Ex Human Revolution to Cyberpunk. There are similarities, but they're different in the way the story is told. Because from what I hear, your story is more about the guys in the game interacting with the world outside, while Mog is its own self-contained story. It's all contained within this cyberverse, you could say.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Not that I can't get into spoilers about a book that hasn't released yet, even if I've basically spoiled the book by saying if it's based on GameStop, which means everyone kind of knows how that's going to go and the absolute frustration that's going to occur. I think that's like an acceptable level of spoilers because that's basically the pitch of the story,
Yeah, but that more, for me at least, that just makes me more curious because now I want to see how you pull that off. I was a big fan of that fucking GameStop event. Unofficial
the memes
GameStop.
were glorious. The memes were glorious.
There's fucking sea shanties about it. I still got one running in my background every now and then.
Oh, dude, the Wellerman copy was so good.
Oh, soon may the Tenny Man come.
See, the Wellerman got ruined for me by frigging YouTube. Every retard put it on in the back of their short. And it's like, cool, you've killed a song. Well done.
Yeah. A little bit sad, but hey, that's life.
Speaking of YouTube shorts, the algorithm is slightly less screwed at the moment, so there'll be some more Trym shorts going out.
Hey! I have no idea which of them you're going to choose, and, I'm going to leave it to your discretion this time.
Yes, Trym totally runs a YouTube channel, folks.
Yeah, I own it, and I run it by making the content, but we all know that I just push this shit on you because I ain't doing tech shit.
Oh my God.
I'm still amazed that Trym turns his computer on in the morning successfully.
Wait, you're supposed to turn it on?
I'm afraid of learning to edit. I know it's necessary, but it's just not a skill that I am looking forward to building.
Well, some people don't want to learn to make food, but here. Let's see.
Oh my God. So, complete non secular here, but I go rock climbing a bunch because it's fun. And I put some lotion on my hands afterwards because if you've ever been rock climbing and with all the chalk and the rough holds and all that, you need a bit of lotion. My dog has decided that this coconut flavored hand lotion is the most delicious thing in the world.
No, Basic, out of the gutter. Bad Basic, no.
What were you thinking?
I thought peanut butter was the traditional way of doing that. But hey, I'm not going to judge too much.
Well, the peanut butter's only when you don't start on your own.
Oof. Well, we're all degenerates here, so it doesn't really matter.
I don't apologize.
No shit.
So, here's a question for you guys. Have you ever read Lit RPG?
No.
Yes. I'm sure you have, Trym, whether you realize it or not.
Oh, what's it about then?
It's a genre referring to basically a story wherein the characters know they are operating within a game mechanic system.
Oh,
so
every goddamn isekai anime in the world then.
It's almost isekai, but entirely Western inspired.
Oh.
Kind of. The Koreans are in there doing weird things as well, and so are the Chinese and so on.
So, does Ready Player One count?
I would actually probably say no, because him leveling up does not really matter, which is actually to the credit of the story.
Yeah.
I like the book Ready Player One.
There is no movie called Ready Player One.
Yes, it's close, but not quite. It's quite a lot of. It's Dungeons and Dragons written narratively, and the characters know they're in Dungeons and Dragons.
Right,
Order of the Stick is almost lit RPG.
Okay. Order of the Stick. Sounds a bit familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
It's
like one of the most famous webcomics about D&D, if not the most famous.
Yeah, but they know they're in a webcomic, so it's kind of almost lit RPG.
Oh, so it's really just fourth wall breaking then, a lot of it.
Pretty much.
Oh, I mean, if you do it right, it goes well.
Yeah, but it is one of those genres that is very much typical of the self-publishing era.
Ah,
So there's some brilliant stuff.
Really well.
There's some brilliant stuff, and then there's for like every one brilliant work, there's 999 mediocre works, and then like another 10,000 steaming piles of unedited rubbish.
I mean, I want to describe modern entertainment like that, regardless. So, just go to Netflix.
No, that's far worse.
Ew.
I actually agree. Reading crap lit RPG is more entertaining than what Netflix produces.
Oh, that's true.
Well, that's it. You're less likely to be surprised by. No, not on the art check.
Thank you. But I understand what you mean.
You're less likely to be surprised by crimes against humanity that are actually endorsed by the author.
Ooh. And Disco has appeared, waving her flag.
So I bring that up because I totally enjoy a good power trip fantasy.
Yeah.
I just typically consume those kinds of stories either as audiobooks or like manga/manhwa. And part of the reason is because I hate having to being expected to read the stat block. And a lot of readers really enjoy the actual mathematical breakdown of people's abilities. And I can't do that. So and that's largely why I've avoided lit RPG and favored other forms of when I write power fantasy, other forms of power fantasy. However, with characters inside of a video game that know they are characters inside of a video game, I could not exactly avoid it.
Yes, I
However,
can see
I came up with a somewhat functional workaround, which I don't want to get into because it's like halfway through the book and it's a big clever reveal. But a lot of the tension comes down to actual character builds, because that's what they are having to steal is the requisite materials for crafting and game gear, basically.
Oh.
Oh, God, I'm being attacked by this dog.
Show attention
I'm
to
not entirely
Pupper.
sure where I'm going. It's really hard to hit the balance of how much information needs to be given so that you understand who has an advantage in a fight, versus just completely bringing a story to a stop.
How do you mean?
Real big with RPG.
How do you mean?
Well, in
you
generic lit RPG, you'll quite often have literally a character sheet.
Ah, yes.
So the difficulty that James is having is, how do I tell the audience who has what HP, what attack skill, what armor class, without just writing numbers for 2 pages?
Gotcha. All right.
Also, you run into a big risk of if you do actually try and math out a system, and the system isn't balanced, you're basically that's like pulling a J.K. Rowling, where she explained enough magic to know that all the wizards in Harry Potter are idiots because they're not using their own magic correctly.
Yep.
Speaking of, have you? There's a particular fan fiction about if Harry Potter's step parents had been smart scientists instead of idiots, and then he applies science, and the magic system's just fucking weird. Like, why is it Wingardium Leviosa, not Leviosa, or some bollocks?
Huh.
And how did that? And if that's the case, how do they figure out that? Oh, it's this pronunciation, but this pronunciation doesn't do anything. And then, of course, why has no new magic been invented? Where does the magic come from?
Huh.
One of
Okay,
the
that makes
biggest
sense.
shortcomings. One of my biggest issues with Harry Potter is for someone raised by Muggles. Surely he understands the utility of a handgun.
I mean, it was brought up in England, and that area doesn't really seem to be that much with a gun unless you look at his father, his uncle.
I mean, it certainly doesn't help, but yes, and even in the Wizarding world, not just Harry, there are other Muggles, there are other half-bloods. There's the shitting half-blood prince.
Yeah.
Like the Sirius Black the werewolf have not read. What's this about silver bullets? What do silver bullets come from? Guns. What? Oh, what are these gun things? Oh, it requires no incantation and can fire lots and lots of bullets, and we don't have shield spells for some reason. So let me just pop over. Let me just go down to the local, the local
Shop.
encampment of imported criminals, and get and buy an illegal handgun, or better yet, why don't I just use my, what is it, like flume powder bollocks, pop over to America, buy a sodding shotgun, walk up behind Voldemort, and boom!
You know what? That's something I always thought about, but this kind of case is why I prefer Dresden Files to Harry Potter any day of the week, because I mean, in one of the early books, he meets this hitman called Kincaid, and then Kincaid just spells out how it would kill. It's like a high-powered rifle, take you out before you even knew I was there. Bang.
Well, that said, a high-powered rifle does not emit fancy magical waves that can be detected
No.
by a super advanced wizard or whatever.
And Dresden and Harry Dresden is like, holy shit. And he just said that, and a cold shiver went down my spine because this guy was right.
And of course, being set in America, honestly, it surprises me that Harry has so few guns.
Oh, I mean, a revolver and a shotgun. He pretty much got what is necessary, because what else he needs,
Yes,
he can counter with magic.
Yes, but it's America.
Also, I
would hop online, go to Daniel Defense, and be like, I would like this AR-15.
Harry Dresden works out of Chicago. I'm pretty sure he could just check a few dumpsters and come up with 3 more guns.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
going to
it
go
wouldn't
against
exactly
it.
be a challenge.
According to Harry Dresden, the Chicago Bean is filled with guns.
For the record, no spoilers. I've only finished the first 2 Dresden File books.
Oh shit. Okay. Never mind. Ignore what I said, and I'm definitely not gonna say anything else, because you really gotta enjoy this series. It's really good.
Again, okay, so Chicago might explain somewhat why he has less in the realm of an AR, because fuck Chicago. But also, again, it's America, and he's like they aren't playing fast and loose with the law enough.
So just to tie this into our other subject, because we did say we also wanted to discuss Cyberpunk Edgerunners.
Yes.
Cyberpunk Edgerunners is not only based on a video game, but it's based on a tabletop game. They actually do have rules and numbers and stats that work reasonably well for every single thing that they depicted, allegedly, except the Sand of Easton. The Sand of Easton was made up for the anime, and it's arguably basically a reflex booster, but not really.
It's in the game though.
The game has reflex boosters.
No, you have you do have the Sand Devistan in the game.
So I have not played the game. Perhaps I am simply getting caught on YouTubers having lied to me. Because every time I consider downloading Cyberpunk 2077, people tell me, "Yeah, but it's actually like crap. Have you looked at this combat?"
Yes.
I think you can actually. Maybe it's not really the Sand Devistan, but it's what do you call the things again?
Reflex boosters.
Yeah.
What I was told they have, where it basically speeds you up and slows down the rest of the game.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much what the Sand Devistan. Maybe they just gave it a fancy name because anime.
Yeah. Well, they did it because that's how you create narrative tension. It's not really from the numbers. Like halfway through the Cyberpunk anime, when Martinez is just having people shoot him in the face and he's not even blinking because that's his armor rating. Like that is the technical logic of those scenes. Is he's just so chromed out that small arms fire can't hurt him anymore. Yeah. And they use that for like constructing the fight choreography. But you probably noticed they didn't even explain him getting those implants because it does nothing for the character motivations, the drama, the decision making, and so on. It's just kind of noted on that, basically he's leveled up, his numbers are higher, and he's a tougher guy now.
Yeah.
In a visual medium, you can do that.
Well, I understand how they just didn't bring the RPG elements into the anime, as it's more just a story about the characters, and
because it would have been freaking boring.
Yes, it would. You have this many numbers to do this many things, so honestly, I'm going to be.
It also, like James says, it also can significantly decrease the narrative tension. Like if you know in advance that this guy has. I don't know, a D6 plus 4 to hit or something, and this guy has an armor class of 26. You kind of know how that fight's going to go.
Yeah, true. I wonder what Faraday stats are.
Faraday doesn't even have an ability, as I recall.
Nah, he's just a fixer. He's basically a DM's plot device.
Yes. DMPCs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Extremely necessary when you have a bunch of murder hobos for players. Yes, indeed. Speaking of, though, like lit RPGs and tabletops and things in general, are either of you familiar with the older anime series Record of Lodoss War?
Yes, I've heard of it.
Never watched it. I hear good things about it.
Well, the anime is based on a series of books that are the novelization of a D&D campaign.
Really?
Yes.
That's happened multiple times.
Yes. But Lodoss War has got to be one of the best ones to come out of it. Like, they're finally getting around to translating the flipping books.
Hell yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Because I've seen the anime and it's brilliant.
So, like, for instance, the Overlord series, which is super fucking popular, even though I think it's actually gone to absolute trash, that was based on the writers' collapsed D&D group.
I've been watching.
I've
been watching that series with a friend of mine. I think it's funny, but it's far from the best thing ever. But it's a good popcorn show.
Indeed.
I believe the same is true of Goblin Slayer, considering they're literally in a D&D world.
It's the same for pretty much almost every single RPG or isekai thing. I mean, even the what's it called
In
again?
Goblin Slayer, if you see
yes
their
and no.
adventuring cards, the adventuring cards in Goblin Slayer are literally 5e character sheets.
Yeah. And
Dude.
again, that's the difference between lit RPG and isekai. You can have isekai set in a RPG-like world, but you can also have them set literally in a game. Like, for example, crap, what is it? I think what was the abomination?
You got to be more specific.
Yeah, it was like the first one to get big in the West. Of trapped in a VR game. Fuck
Sword
your
Art
cousin.
Online?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Dot
Sword
Hack
Art
Roots?
Online.
that shit.
Notice
I
that he
still
picked it
find
up
out,
as
like,
soon as
10
I
years
said
prior,
fuck
Dot Hack existed.
What?
Mm.
Sorry, I didn't catch any of what you just said.
10 years before Sword Art Online, there was Dot Hack, which was the same shit, except done much better. And everyone just conveniently forgot that Dot Hack existed when Sword Art Online came out.
To be fair, I don't think Dot Hack made it to the West anywhere near as well. Though I think we can blame...
The popularity of Japan in America has been increasing year over year.
Yeah.
As Hollywood and Western culture has collapsed.
Yeah,
like,
especially as comic books are nosediving so hard they're already buried in the sand.
They deserve it. Except for Isom, though, and the Iron Age crew. I really like what they're doing. And I know Iron Age isn't actually a crew, but it's just a collection of people. I just like calling them a crew.
I am very hopeful for Iron Age.
Yeah.
There is a lot of energy accumulating into that.
It's beautiful. Let's see.
Sorry about that. My home spying device is now unplugged.
Oh. Good.
Yes. The home spying devices. It's kind of a sick, twisted irony that a lot of us in these kind of communities are fully aware of how evil they are, and then they go, but the convenience is worth it.
Okay, but like, you don't even realize, because right now I've lost my phone somehow, but it's playing to my Bluetooth headphones, and I can't find it to shut it off. So I was trying to use the voice recognition on the Google Nest to find my phone.
Oh, I do that so often. It's like, oh, god damn it, where did I put the phone? And then it's like, hey, you know the thing, I'm not going to say it because it'll set everyone's off. Where's my damn phone? Then the phone starts making noises, and I'm like, how did you get down there? And then I give the cat a dirty look.
Basic like to give pussies bad, dirty looks.
I mean, they deserve it.
Let's see. Just wondering though, what is your opinion of the Cyberpunk story of itself? Just doesn't have to be an actual review, but tell us what you think.
Ending's dog shit.
No shit. But it's a typical.
The first 9 episodes were 10 out of 10 masterpiece. The last episode fell on its face so hard it can only be compared to season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. It really just rushed through the entire fucking thing. I mean, like, when he decided to connect himself to the fucking cyber skeleton, he removed almost every single part of him. He was just a torso and a head strapped onto a fucking machine, right? And that happened through what? Nothing? Is the guy so much metal that it doesn't really matter how much he picks off? What?
All right. I will tell you exactly the issues and exactly how it should have been done, in my opinion, as I promised I would do. As soon as I find my phone, because it's looping the sad cat dance song, but I have it set to repeat. And it's so loud, I can't even put it in another room.
I hate that theme so much.
Oh my god. I have to accept Google's spying just to find my thing. All right, give me a sec. I am sorry.
It's alright. Oh, poor guy.
Monkey says that the last time he lost his phone, he found it in the fridge.
Oh.
I can see that. I can see how that has happened. So you go looking for some food, you put the phone down to get the food out, and then you just walk away with the food.
Huh. I've never put away my phone in a fridge before. But I have left it in the wrong pocket once. That was an interesting experience.
Oh, the amount of times that I've had my phone out in like my left hand, and then I go to grab it from my right pocket with my right hand. I'm like, oh, you idiot!
Oh my god, guys! I'm sitting in a recliner in front of the TV as a monitor. Like I said, I don't have a proper studio set up. This recliner eats anything that is in your pockets. There are so many places for stuff to fall out and just vanish to. I found an entirely new pocket just now.
So what you're saying is that your sofa is technically the Tyranids.
I can see the similarities. Okay. So anyways, I'm going to rant about the ending of Cyberpunk Edgerunners now.
Go
Assuming
ahead.
that everyone listening has
Spoiler
watched
warning.
it, or is at least okay. Spoiler warning. The main issue with the ending of the story is Martinez learned nothing. It means the entire plot arc amounted to nothing. Even with the exact example of what happens when you chase your dream too blindly in The Death of Maine, he learned nothing. He didn't understand that burning out and dying in pursuit of something means that you have nothing at the end.
Yeah.
What, in my opinion, should have happened is they should have done a bait and switch. They should have done the scenes and done a cliffhanger from 9 to 10 where it looks like he plugged into the cyber skeleton, and do like the first 6 or 7 minutes of the final episode from the perspective of Faraday, Lucy, and the Arasaka Faceless people.
Yeah. The no-eye group.
Acting as he's coming and destroying everything using the cyber skeleton, and then reveal that he in fact didn't take that last leap. That he did know that that wasn't Lucy. That Lucy wouldn't tell him to jump in the cyber skeleton, because he should have realized that she would never want him to do that. And therefore, about halfway through the final episode, they cut into it. He's just using the implants that he had. He's at his limit. He doesn't go beyond the limit. He is at his limit, because if you go beyond that, you're dead.
Yeah.
There's no point. There's nothing to be said for being dead.
Yeah, and like you could do a good scene with him, sweat pouring out of him, his ears metaphorically, or perhaps because it's anime, literally steaming.
Also have his nose bleeding.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because with him not in the cyber skeleton, it was very clearly established that the cyber skeleton is the most dangerous weapon in the setting, unless you're Atom Smasher.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
With him plugged into the cyber skeleton, there was never a moment of, oh, can he beat Max Tack? Is he going to get to Faraday? Because you knew that Max Tack was nothing. You were just slowly watching Martinez die. Like there was no tension in those fight scenes. You can even see that because you were watching him die, even if he beat Atom Smasher, there was no surviving the cost on his body. Which means that there really was no tension in the entire fight.
The tension for me wasn't exactly the will he survive Smasher. To me, it was more. Now I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate. The risk wasn't with Martinez himself, because, I mean, the red flags for him dying, again spoilers, was very first episode. He had dead flags like waving around like the. God knows how big they were, but I could see him from the other side of the planet almost. But to me, the risk would be which of his friends, which he pulled with him, would die. That's why many people were upset about losing Becca, because that was a genuine surprise. But will
I thought
Lucy
that
be
was so-
saved or the rest of the gang? That's basically where the
only
risk.
people that survive are Lucy and Falco.
Yeah, they're the only ones that survive.
So for the record, I wouldn't kill off Rebecca.
No.
I thought that was just a completely unjust end to a good character arc. Because if you look at her story, she meets a guy, falls in love with him, he doesn't reciprocate, and then she dies fighting for him. That's Rebecca's story.
Yeah.
Oh, that's. Yeah.
Rebecca is the best character in the show.
Absolutely. It's not obvious in the first 5 episodes, but once after Maine dies and she starts getting more interactions with David, extremely obvious she's the best character in the show.
Yeah. And she's also the one that tries to snap him out of it. It's like, at least I hope that Rebecca would have a more impact during him just snapping, right? That what pulled him over. You don't have to be in love to love someone, if you know what I'm saying. It could have been more of a familiar in the end. I wish they went that way with him. You know?
Certainly.
Yeah, of course, that is after she realized that there's no way of getting romantic. They would just go for more, sibling kind of love. If that makes sense.
Yeah, certainly. Because, it's completely reasonable that Martinez is in love with Lucy. They had a perfectly good relationship, with the exception of he was too stupid to not realize that he was getting played at the end.
Yeah.
Right?
But then again, he was kind of going crazy at the end, though, so you can't really fault him too much. That's just the writing is that he was going cyber psycho and getting more and more desperate for every moment.
Well, yes, and that's why the bait and switch would work.
Yeah.
That's why I'm advocating for they should have run it that, clearly it's a given that he got in the cyber skeleton. And then, what? He's not? He doesn't have the ultimate trump card to beat MaxTac? He's just going at it with what skills he has? Oh, no. Holy crap. I don't know if he can pull this off. Because it would have been a genuine surprise that he actually had character growth at the final moment.
Yeah.
And I think when a story doesn't have that kind of character growth, it's missing an essential element.
Well, it is an anime, so it did need to have that superpower showdown at the end.
Oh, yeah, he totally could have been fighting
fighting
Adam Savage.
Yeah.
Adam Smasher. Not Adam Savage.
Adam Savage. No, I want to see this one.
Oh boy, that would be too much though. That would be too much.
Now I'm in. I want to see Adam Savage in a giant mech suit, just trouncing people in the Cyberpunk universe.
That'd be fucking badass.
I'm in.
It's just a crying shame that Adam Savage is a California lefty.
Sadness.
All right, I have one more change I would make to the ending.
All right.
So he stays behind to fight Adam Smasher, giving time for Lucy to escape. And he's obviously outgunned because he's not special. He's above average, certainly, and he's pushing himself. But he's not, the 1 in a billion exception. And he comes to realize that, but he's also not average. You give him the big throwdown fight where he's using the Sand of Easton and verging on cyber psychosis, just trying to keep up with the big bad final fight. And then basically at the end, you have Adam Smasher go, I also have a Sand of Easton. And then you give them light speed hand-to-hand combat. Make it as flashy as you can, but obviously Adam Smasher wins. He's the you all saw that coming.
Yeah, but they kind of did that already though. They did that, but maybe not in the way that would. It's kind of.
Hear me out. I'm not to the how I would have done the ending quite yet.
Go ahead.
At the scene where Adam Smasher has the gun to his head, and he's just like, "You were pretty good in the fight, kid." David holds up his hands and goes, "All right, I surrender." I'm Arasaka's best test subject, aren't I? I'm valuable, and that's what a corporation cares about is value. yeah, I screwed everything. I killed a bunch of Max Tac, and I blew up your building, and I embarrassed you, and I sold the cyber skeleton to Militech. But that all happened. The only way you can get profit at this point is by hiring me. And it would end with Lucy escaping and him now being Arasaka's pawn, like she was. Still a bit of a bad ending, but both of them alive with the ability to escape later.
What, set up for a second season? No,
That would have been nice.
Possibly make more money.
Well, I think the rule was that they weren't gonna do a sequel series. It was just gonna be a one and done. Kind of fucking sad, but
they could have left some minor unresolved plot points that kind of set up, and then seen the reaction. Because I mean, the amount of the amount of anime that just leaves the entire bloody plot unresolved and then dies. Like, why not leave some minor plot points that kind of set up the possibility, but not the guarantee of another season, and then go, will we make enough money to justify it? Without just.
So I think that kind of ending would have been better than what we got. I think the Doomer Nihilist learned nothing in the end, nobody's happy ending was bad.
Yeah. I mean, you get when you finish Cyberpunk Edgerunners, your face is pretty much the same as David after the girl on fire. When he just sits there staring, it's like, oh, okay. It's a really good show, though. I've got to admit, I really liked it.
Oh, I totally think the studio's best anime.
Yeah.
I think it's the best thing they've ever produced.
Yeah, but again, best is not perfect.
If it was perfect, what would we be sitting here talking about?
Exactly.
There's almost an argument for having obvious flaws to get people online talking about it.
Oh. So Amazon's entire business model behind Rings of Power.
Oh, pain.
I can't talk much about Rings of Power because I did not watch it. I did not hate watch it. I did not give them the views, the clicks, I did not talk about it on Twitter. I did not acknowledge it exists.
You did yourself a favor, but I'm just going to say this. The way I watched it, you can sing a sea shanty to it without condoning acts that YouTube doesn't want condoned. Why don't you say yar har? And I skim watched it because I couldn't fucking go through the entire experience. That was the solid agony of just watching one of the most powerful fucking characters in the entire series just be a goddamn Rey wannabe. How the hell do you make a character worse than Rey Palpatine? Oh my god!
Well,
Sorry.
If you try to imitate Rey Palpatine as a good character, by virtue of being an imitation, you become worse than what you're imitating. And that's how you can be worse than Rey.
Oh my fucking god. Just kill me.
Now, I might actually have to watch Rings of Power because from what everyone has said to me, I'm convinced that there was a way to do what they were trying to do, but like correctly. I haven't watched it, so I can't really speculate on it. But I've become convinced that what they should have done is given Galadriel like a serious case of imposter syndrome. Start the series with her winning an unearned battle against the forces of evil and Sauron and all that. And she knows that there was no way she should have won that battle. Something happened, but everyone else is basically just gaslighting her with, "No, you did great. You're the best. Don't you want to be lauded and applauded and feasted in your name?"
But that's the one problem. That's the main problem. Galadriel doesn't do that shit. It would be so much better if they just made their own character or just taken another one. Just Galadriel isn't Cena. Galadriel isn't a fighter. Except for Dol Guldur, well, she wrecked shit.
I got maybe 100 pages into the Silmarillion when there were 17 different Thea something elves fighting over shiny objects, and I could not get into the second age.
I mean, you're a sci-fi author for a reason.
Yeah. I like my robots.
Yeah.
honest,
for
who's
skeletons.
more annoying, Ray or Jar Jar? Ray.
Hell, I want to hang out with Jar Jar.
I never understood why people hated Jar Jar so much.
Me either. I guess it's because they wanted a more serious story, and there comes Jar Jar just being comic relief.
I really think Disney needs to release an abridged version of the prequels, where it's literally just, here's the prequel movies, but we skipped over the fight sequences.
So what they're doing right now.
Cut them down to like 40 minutes of like the actual dialogue and actual plot.
Oh man.
I think that people would stream that because the CGI does not hold up, but writing is independent of CGI. And I think a lot of people will agree that several, or at least two of the movies have underrated plots, just with some bad scenes in them.
I mean, we could probably rewrite the whole series, and we can start by removing the incest.
That's an original trilogy thing.
Yes.
All right, so that reminded me of something else, though. Going back to Cyberpunk Edgerunners, there's obviously a thematic element of chasing power comes at a price, and cyberpsychosis is that price.
Yeah.
And that's why none of the characters can back off from it, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that seem like scientifically really stupid, though? Like, wouldn't an onboard computer be managing those grav thruster weapons and the flying and such? Why do those augments need the human nervous system like that?
I think it's just how they connected it. As there is onboard computers dealing with it. It's just that it just connected to if I remember the reasons well enough, it's about neural connection. I mean, the entire skeleton is grafted onto the person.
But again, why do they need it all to run through the neural connection? Why can't it just hijack the existing nerve signals and go, okay, owner wants Cyberleg to kick this guy in the nuts. Actuate Cyberleg. You know, like the technology we've already got for artificial limbs, but better.
Yeah,
well, it's part of the setting. It's part of the setting because if you just build up and build up without any restrictions, you would be too OP, I guess. I don't fucking.
Yes, we understand that, but we're suggesting that it doesn't make scientific sense.
Well, it's a game.
Like every
series.
other setting has giant robots that you don't need to plug directly into your skull. You know, Gundam is at a way higher power level than the cyber skeleton.
Oh yeah.
And no one thinks, oh, don't these kids have to be having mental breakdowns in order to pilot this thing? No, they think the kids should be having mental breakdowns because they're committing war crimes.
Yeah, but it's just how the in-universe lore works. It's the rules within it, and I'm just kind of happy that they follow their own rules. The rules might be stupid, but still.
I think it shows how much of a product of like the late 80s that this setting is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go against that one.
Yeah. Frequency Studio says, I like the other guns. I thought they were cool as a species. Jar Jar just didn't land for me.
Oh,
says he was too much of comedic for me. Yeah, Jar Jar was a blithering idiot who would have been fine as comic relief until, for some reason, they let the retard run the Senate, which, yes, is accurate to modern politics, but it's also not great storytelling.
I think it's just another excuse for like how Palpatine managed to have powers like, oh yes, I shall manipulate the retard.
well, he didn't even need that. Like, no, I can't say the next sentence on YouTube, but let's just say that he needs that there are ways other than manipulating Jar Jar. Like, oh, I don't know. How about manipulating any of the other far superior characters with actual political power?
Like Padme Amidala?
Yeah, you think? Well, like, she's clearly open to manipulation, especially mental manipulation by the Force. It's kind of her entire point to be manipulated by the Force.
I think there was some kind of bullshit excuse.
There's a lot of lost opportunity there. I think there's something to be said for the kind of person that is pursuing power in a political sphere is not necessarily like that's almost independent from whether they're good or bad. And at a full Senate, you absolutely can find a bad actor politician.
Just like the real world.
No comments.
I mean, a lot of them tend to be alcoholics or, talk like alcoholics or dementia patients.
Yes.
What?
But I just I like it obviously you'd exploit the weakest link you could find in the Senate, which would be Jar Jar in that circumstance, but they don't quite explain satisfactorily how the hell Jar Jar ended up there.
Padme yeeted him there, and that's it.
I think they got Lucas to agree in an interview once that the Darth Jar Jar conspiracy theory was correct for the first 2 movies. And because people hated Jar Jar so much, they changed it in the 3rd one.
Yeah.
And they didn't follow through on it. He was being set up as a Sith Lord. I think Lucas did actually agree that was his initial intention.
I think wasn't he supposed to be Darth Plagueis Reborn?
Not sure about that.
Huh?
Oh god, that would have ruined it so badly.
No, but the soul of Darth Plagueis, because in his book there was this where he felt that the spirit left or something that I read somewhere or someone told me, I don't quite remember, it's a while ago, that Jar Jar was meant to be
Jar.
Yes, that Darth Jar Jar was actually Darth Plagueis.
Still makes exactly bugger all sense. Of all the characters, yes, he totally inhabit this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense for me when I heard it, and I still think that makes sense. I'm just not good at explaining it.
You look up to Jar Jar and wish you were that smart.
Hey! Don't fucking call me out in public, you asshole.
So I've got another question for you guys. Going off of the earlier comment about Edgerunners is a very dated setting.
Yeah.
My mainstay writing is cyberpunk. I love the technology. I love the influence of the genre. I think as a genre, like the tropes and the cliches that people go into the setting expecting are very dated tropes at this point. It's because there are people alive today living cyberpunk essentially. Like if you read William Gibson's Neuromancer, like we have higher technology than that.
Yep.
And I think the genre has to evolve consequently. I think it needs to leave behind the raging hate boner for capitalism that defines a lot of the works. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yes and no. I mean, Shadowrun's still a fun universe, and it's basically capitalism bad.
So, how about this as a question? Why don't people leave Night City?
I think the reason is that outside of Night City, it's scary.
Bad or worse.
Yeah.
That actually, Night City. Which universe are we talking again?
Cyberpunk.
Night City is the city of Edgerunners.
Ah, yeah. That's a good question. Like which is the same question people have about Batman. Why don't people just leave Gotham? Because apparently every evil person in the world is in that one city. Why wouldn't you just, I don't know, go to the other coast?
Isn't it the reason that every part of the world has their own shit to deal with? It's not just Gotham, but every city has it. Metro City and everything else. Everyone has their own heroes and villains.
Yes, but I mean, why wouldn't you say in the real world, if the cities are full of dangerous lunatics, why wouldn't you just move to, I don't know, rural areas?
Why don't you go ask the people who live in New York that? I think it's just. I believe this is that people who live in cities like that, who never left them, don't dare to leave because despite it being dangerous, they're comfortable in the danger because it's the devil they know, while outside they don't know if they'll make it. That's why many people don't. That's why people don't. At least how I view that, people don't dare to leave the obviously fucking dangerous places. It's just, hey, at least I know the dangers here, or at least I can predict better than outside, because the outside is the scariest thing for a human being.
Well, true that.
Or the unknown, rather. Sorry.
To an extent.
Well, you make a fair point.
But I would have thought the scariest thing to a human would have been the Joker.
Yes, it would be, but then you realize Lex Luthor, Darkseid, the rest of the League of Villains, whatever lurks under the sea.
Yes. All of which happen to be confined to approximately 100 square kilometers.
Yeah, but everyone has their...
sun is up, you're safe. But that's how the logic works in Gotham. If the sun is up, there's no crime.
Yeah.
Huh.
Unless you're Joker and you woke up early. Man, Batman was pretty cool.
Which?
The animated series.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. Oh, for God's sake, Trym, can you stop writing like a goddamn American?
What?
Oh, I'm just reading. I'm just editing your descriptions for the time lapse, and it's like, this is spelt like an this is spelt wrong, and this is spelt wrong, and this is spelt wrong.
Well, too bad. I'm chatting with a lot of Americans, and it kind of rubs off. Heyo.
Stop rubbing off Americans.
You know, funny thing is that it goes in reverse too. As an American, I use British spelling.
You mean correct spelling?
I don't know why.
Maybe because you sound smarter if you do. I don't know.
Like, for instance, I will often put the U in color. I don't know why.
Color.
French influence is probably me somehow.
Bloody French. Have we established there should be... We have a policy on the French here at the Sultans?
Yes. Give us free cheese, or you're into what?
Alright, so in the world of Cyberpunk Edgerunners specifically, one of the facets of the tension of the character motivations is that he has to get through university, he has to get that corporate job. That's, of course, a parallel to you have to go to college, you have to get a degree, and you have to get a white-collar job at a cubicle. Because there's just this presumption of if you're not on the highest income, air quotes, potential, then you're failing.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because in the real world, if you're smart and do it right, you can make more money as a, whatchamacallit?
Yeah.
A tradie.
So there are downsides to trade. The hours
largely
are pretty bad.
Broken by 40, yeah.
Yeah, you are working off of your body. I think it's a little silly to like hold up trade work as this holy grail to avoid student loan debt. But a lot of people work trade jobs. It's like the majority of people currently working are in a field not supported by their college degree. And we haven't broken through that in fiction.
I mean, sure as all seems like it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, like a lot of people end up in places that aren't supported by their degrees. Like at my last job, which, and dear God, if you never work in a call center, being homeless is better.
Noted.
Sorry, I'm not sure I had a point. I just got stuck on how fucking miserable I was doing that job.
Well, it's nice to get it off your chest every now and then. But yeah, well, I just think it goes with the whole expectations of what you should do.
Can you let me finish? Can you let me finish the point, Trym?
Oh, I thought you were done.
I was surrounded by people with college degrees, and I got promoted above them. So, I'm quite often tempted to go back and get a degree these days. I'm seriously tempted to get a degree in law and just basically fucking take the government to court weekly.
Ooh. I mean, why
Yes.
not?
Because
those guys.
broke is why not, but
That's the thing.
I'm not sure how much money there is to be had in suing the government. It's usually a losing affair.
Yeah,
exactly.
just do it out of spite.
You'd be saying, hey, government, you need to admit you're wrong and then pay me for pointing it out.
Yeah.
Who's going to do that?
I'm not going to say what I want to say.
What I consider in my fantasy is charge people a reasonable right to take on their legitimate cases. But yeah, like you say, the government admit they're wrong.
Australia? Christ, man.
It might work in It might work in America where you have like rights and things, but not in Australia.
Right now is a thing called National Novel Writing Month, which
nice.
is a really big worldwide event for amateur authors to all get together and talk to each other about how they aren't actually writing. Although some people actually do hit the goal of 50,000 words in 1 month. I'm using that to write the third installment of my Cyberpunk series. And that's kind of where my head largely is, because I have my debut book out, Faceless. Beta readers have the sequel, and I'm writing the third book. And a lot of discussions I'm getting in with these people are about they can't tell if the government is tyrannical or not, because one of the designs of the setting is that if people just want to work a factory job and go home and play video games, the government fully supports that because that keeps the government in charge. Whereas in Edgerunners, if you're not in the corporate job, you're basically homeless getting jerked off by a machine in an alley.
Yeah.
Because there is nothing except the corporate job in that.
The first 2 episodes summarized, I hear.
But I argue, however, that just because the government is leaving you alone doesn't mean it's not tyrannical.
Yes, it can very much be. That is entirely correct.
Yes.
They can be very tyrannical when they're leaving you, even when they're leaving you alone. And just because they're leaving you alone for now doesn't mean you won't be next.
Yeah. Sort of like that in Norway at times.
Australia, Canada, England, Scotland, California,
Norway, Sweden,
New York. Oh,
so,
no, you guys are doing far better.
We're doing far better now, but as soon as the opportunity allows, they will be like, oh, but you can't do this now because of this and that and this.
Yeah, you were saying, James?
Oh god, I got distracted thinking about what California is doing to the auto industry. Sorry, completely derailed my thought process there.
Taking it behind the woodshed and shooting it.
Poor bastards. There's one thing I have one gripe about the Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and I don't know if you guys agree with this, but it is just how inactive David is on his own. It's like every dream he has, he only reacts to the dreams of other people, but he has nothing of himself, no real drive that is selfish for him, that is his goal, his dream. Everything he does is
called a character flaw.
Huh?
And that kind of flaw is a really, really good starting point. But it is because that flaw came to nothing in the end that it's frustrating you.
Yeah, it's a good thing, but I was expecting him sort of be like really against it, but he was just accepting it, and that's, I guess, is why I weren't surprised when David kicked it in the end, because he didn't have the fire to live for himself. He only lived for those around him, or rather, the one person who was close to him. First it was his mother, then it was Lucy, and without any of them, he was basically just a drone.
Yeah, well, he was. Keep in mind, he was a child, or a teenager at least. And that is a shortcoming of youth. There are lots of people out there that are basically defined by the people around them instead of themselves. And when you see that in a character, that creates a desire in you, if it's well written, to want to see them grow out of it. You want to see them develop, because all the best stories you've ever consumed are about character growth, or at least resisting degradation, at least, like in case of like Superman stories or something.
Or Fullmetal Alchemist.
Well,
That's a growth story.
Love it.
That's the thing. If you're not looking for character development, you're usually looking for overpowered stomp fantasy.
Yeah. Like Dragon Ball.
No, Dragon Ball.
I don't watch Dragon Ball
twice.
For that reason.
No, Dragon Ball is I'm going to sit here screaming like I'm about to shit my pants for 16 episodes, and then I'm going to lose anyway.
Yeah. I have my issues with Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball is one of the worst paced animes in existence. Like other animes figured out while they're waiting for the manga to finish, maybe they should put in a filler arc, which is usually some bollocks or a beach episode or something. No, Dragon Ball's idea was, I'll just make them scream for 16 episodes.
I'm just putting out the 5 Namekian minutes. That's all I'm gonna say. The world's longest minutes when Frieza and Goku fought on Namek. Oh, this planet will explode in 5 minutes. 5 fucking years later.
Yes.
Oh, Lord. And of course, they just ended
Frieza. One of the
Frieza.
many issues it has.
Yeah. But then again, it was an enjoyable read while I had it. Of course, I read it in Norwegian, though, and holy shit, the translation of the insults.
Reading it is very different to watching it, because it was on TV in Australia when I was 10-ish plus, and even then I got the shits with it going, this is boring.
When Beswick was a
when I
wee
was
lad.
Child, I thought it was super hype. And then I stopped being a child, and I realized it was dumb.
Yep.
But, target audience and all that.
Yep.
Sometimes you just want a good old power fantasy.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Which Dragon Ball isn't.
I'd say it is. Sort of, maybe.
No, I mean... but it's got more character development than you... no, it doesn't have character development. What am I talking about? It's got more... They actually spend time building up their strength. 7 different versions of Saiyan later.
Yeah. Jesus.
But
I hate that this super forms.
There's not enough just going around curb stomping things from Goku's perspective for it to be a proper power fantasy.
Here's the question.
I reckon.
I believe I have watched more anime than the two of you combined twice over. Is that correct?
I don't know how much anime do you watch.
Well, every time I bring up the fact that I'm a weeb, I get insulted in your channel. So I assume that you don't watch much anime.
Oh, Trym and I do. We'll call you a fucking filthy weeb anyway.
Yeah. It's how we show that we have respect for you. We insult you.
Okay. Have either of you watched The Overly Cautious Hero?
Nope.
I have read parts of it, if it's the same one, I think.
The SSS rarity superhero gets summoned by the trainee goddess to defeat the demon lord, but he won't go out because he has to train first.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've read part of that, though I think the translation style, but yes, I'm familiar with it.
That sticks with me as one of the absolute best subversions of power fantasy, and one of the tightest isekai stories I've ever encountered.
Oh, absolutely. He trains, and then he goes out, curb stomps, and then crawls back into his apartment and goes, don't want to go out. Fucking brilliant.
You didn't get far enough in.
Oh, no, I didn't. But,
so one of the conceits is, like, it takes the idea of, like, well, why would you go and endanger yourself if you could train up as much as you possibly could and then go out safely to beat the demon lord? Because, like, well, what if they ambush you? And then, like, every concern he has is exactly what the Demon Lord's generals do, because he does get immediately ambushed. He does get have to fight two of them at the same time and stuff. They do come find him instead of waiting at their castles. So every single concern he has is validated in it, even though like every convention of generic power fantasy says, "Oh no, don't worry about it. You'll always have the exact amount of strength you need when you need it." And it leads up to he doesn't have enough strength at the end.
Ooh.
And it is one of the best ending payoffs you could ask for, because it takes all the tropes of power fantasy and evolves them slightly. And I highly recommend it. It's one of my 10 out of 10s.
What'd you call it again then?
The Overly Cautious Hero.
Then that one is added to my list.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of, and it's a familiar story, especially for anyone who's played RPGs, especially JRPGs, where you're like, I don't want to get my ass kicked constantly. That's boring. So I'm just going to sit here and grind, and grind, and grind, and grind, and then you curb stomp your way to the final boss who kicks you in the face.
Oh shit, guys! Something. I'm sorry to interrupt, but something popped up. So I'll be right back. I'm transitioning to the taking a break screen. So I'll be right back. Right.
Description.
Well, sorry about that, guys. Just something appeared and I had to deal with it post haste.
Where were we? By the way, I did remember the thing you derailed me about.
Yeah.
When cyberpunk was incepted as a genre, it was during a time in America's history, the 80s, 90s, where Asian corporations were moving in through free trade. You were getting Nissan and Samsung and LG and just, all the other companies,
Moving
that make
in.
house and electronic things. And they brought with them a foreign culture. And that's why Cyberpunk is often defined by the fact that like half the signs in the background will be in Chinese, for instance.
Yeah, Arasaka is one of the biggest players in the.
Right, and that, it played into a fear of culture shift and globalization. And all science fiction is typically trying to project forward societal concerns and examine them better. I think that those concerns of, wow, look at these weird foreigners that put all their workers in jumpsuits and do group calisthenics to synchronize the music, and they use their last names to refer to each other, and they're so strictly hierarchical and so on. America
can you say
won that
Japanese
culture
culture?
Like that didn't happen, which means that the fears basically ended up not being grounded on anything. And yet nowadays, what we have concerns about is, oh look, Tencent now owns half of our companies and is enforcing its ideological censorship.
Yeah, and Tencent is nothing more but a fucking arm of the Chinese government anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
like I don't know what I don't. It still blows my mind that they were stupid enough to put programmed hardware from Tencent into the goddamn communications network. Like, it's one thing to buy your widgets and plastic crap from China, but anything that can be coded? Dear Lord.
Well, maybe they just believe that they would get a fair share. Or someone in the background got a good deal on behalf of everyone
They got
else.
2 stacks.
Yeah. And those that didn't get 2 got 3 stacks for a nice pick.
Is I think that Cyberpunk as a genre still is going to maintain the technological space. Because if you say Cyberpunk, you have these technological assumptions about like virtual reality and hacking and implants, the early days of artificial intelligence. You're almost certain that they haven't left the Earth. If someone says a book is a cyberpunk book, you're not going to be expecting colonies on Mars.
Nah, or at least the early colonies on Mars.
Right.
Yeah, but
it's going to keep the technology. We still want to explore that technology. But I think the societal fears need to be updated from the 1980s because it's the 2020s now. And reality has gotten very, very close to cyberpunk. And if we're to be projecting our concerns forward, that brings me back to my point about I think it needs to drop the hatred of capitalism and just the failure to understand how money works in an economy. I find to be super common with these kinds of stories.
Well, especially if you look at like the Shadowrun universe, if you set aside the cyber magic, it's basically the real world. Oh, but
that's
these global companies that rule everything, like Arasaka or the alternatives. Yeah, no, they're called Cadbury, Nestle.
Even in Cyberpunk Edgerunners, they don't steal your water.
No, they might poison it a little, but they don't steal it.
Yeah.
Just a little. Just a bit of fluoride.
Yeah, maybe. Just a few gay frogs.
I mean, yeah, when you're talking about things like water, they don't do anything as bad in Cyberpunk as Cadbury's actually done in real life. No, Nestle. They're the same thing. They're an evil chocolate company.
If you pay enough attention to reality, you would never be able to make up stories.
Yeah.
Like, I bring this up every chance I can. South Korea was ruled by necromancers for several years.
Wait, what?
I'm not making this up. Literally, it was ruled by a cabal of necromancers.
And yet, it still turned out better than most Western countries.
To be precise about what exactly I mean, is there was a cabal of basically garden variety cultists that convinced this woman that they could talk to her dead mother. and used, blackmail, hypnosis, general cold reading, cult tricks to subjugate her mentally, and then groomed her into politics and pushed her up through the chain until she became prime minister. But she was completely beholden to these people that she was convinced could talk to her dead mother.
Huh.
And
Yeah,
she admitted
I totally couldn't see that happening anywhere else.
If you wrote that in a story, people would think you were being ridiculous.
Yep. Well, that is a thing that quite often happens where reality is stranger than fiction. Like, for example, if you were to write a book based on Audie Murphy without actually naming him, people would be like, "This is unrealistic." No.
This shit's happened, yo.
I spend a lot of time reading history books and biographies, and I think that is far better research material and for inspiration than reading like popular fantasy novels. I'm reading about Charlemagne and Alexander the Great is so much more useful and unbelievable compared to Joe Abercrombie's the First Law trilogy.
The First Law is interesting, at least, but yes,
I liked it,
not terrible.
but it's got nothing on. My father was murdered by his spurned gay lover because he moved over to a different gay lover with the same name. So the spurned one went to a prophet and said, "What is the best way for a nobody to have their name go down in history? To kill a famous person."
I mean, yeah. Again, but I could totally see that happening in history, though.
Yeah, that's how Alexander the Great became emperor.
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, you could totally get away with just rewriting a bunch of historical events, novelizing a bunch of historical events, and just publishing them. And the best part is, most people wouldn't even notice because they're uneducated morons.
Or they can't put two and two together.
So are you suggesting actually using the correct historical names or name swapping everything?
Name swapping would probably be for the best, because then some...
Well, name swapping would work better, but also they're out of copyright. What the fuck are they going to do?
Oh. I mean, just look at Japan. Every time they have the chance, they just yeet Nobunaga into their stories. I love that guy.
Nobunaga's in damn near every fantasy story. But yes, but I mean, you could you could totally get away with including the real names, see the entire Fate franchise, or you could just
you have to make them big titty anime girls, though.
I mean, that definitely improves them. Oh yeah, I'd never watch the official Fate franchise.
Likewise. What?
Are you talking about the VNs or the anime adaptations?
Neither.
We're talking about the other kind of unofficial.
We're talking, yes, we're talking about
who I was talking to.
Official adaptation.
The other day, I was talking to someone that was complaining that Fate kept rebooting their series. And I was just like, do you not realize that they're based on VNs with multiple endings? Like, the reason Stay Night has 4 different versions is because there's like 7 endings you can get.
Yep.
Based on which porn you're trying to view.
Yep.
Yes. Which, I mean, is a problem that a lot... To deviate slightly, it's a problem that a lot of anime have. A slightly different problem that a lot of anime have is they will be based on a visual novel, and then they will choose none of the endings and only have 1 season.
Yeah.
And resolve nothing. On the flip side, you have one of the better... Well, actually, you can't even call it a harem anime. One of the better animes based on a visual novel, the Amagami. Because they just go, hey, each girl gets 3 episodes. I still maintain, though, that the best girl wasn't featured in the visual novel anyway as the heroine. Best girl was Swimsuit Senpai. damn it.
Not familiar. Okay. So here's some questions for you. How do you feel about DC and Marvel constantly rebooting their main characters?
Stop it and
I'd
make
have to
something
care
new.
about DC or Marvel to have an opinion.
To me, stop it and make something new with new characters. Give us something fresh. But then again,
So that is the mindset behind Rippaverse. Now, Eric July has started a new franchise, hopefully, where he promises no reboots.
Hell yeah.
Which sounds good, right?
I'm just tired of reboots.
I think it sounds good.
Yeah.
Prime Knight's got an interesting suggestion. New anime. I became the Emperor's wife. A girl becomes the one with Caligula or Nero who makes him his wife as he looks like his wife. No. You're missing. You've got to Japanify it more, Primed. No, it's. I was reincarnated into ancient Rome and became the Emperor's wife. And then they reincarnate and then they cross-dress as a boy. You got to get it right. Then eventually they become the Emperor's wife. But you've got to make the title even longer than what I suggested.
Oh yeah, retardedly long fucking title is a modern anime,
and an anime
curse.
coming out. Yeah, and now it's got an anime coming out next season. But I totally read that anyway. I don't know.
Weeb.
Yes, and
I'm pretty sure that already is an anime, and I believe it is currently a manga. It will probably get released in 2025. I'm not even making that.
What isn't an anime at this point?
I mean, like the description alone. Japanese woman gets reincarnated into ancient, like Rome. Has to hide as a slave, a slave boy serving the emperor, until they get discovered and become the emperor's wife. Like, I'm sure we haven't already. I think I've already read that 3 times.
No, you haven't, because the main character is never allowed to be not the most powerful. That's the problem. You would never get Japan to produce that.
Yeah.
Oh, so your problem is that you're only reading shonen. Try reading some Josei. That's where.
The hell is that?
Josei is the female equivalent of seinen, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Which is?
It's for fuck's sake, he doesn't know what seinen is. Clearly, it's because he's only into shoujo.
What the fuck is going on here?
You know,
You're
I'm
the
fine with
worst
shoujo
weeb
stories,
ever.
but the art, ugh.
Oh god, yeah, the art is awful. At least the art in Josei is better, but shoujo art is fucking abysmal.
It's kind of obvious that I fell out of anime and manga a while ago.
Look, okay, so
Right.
shonen.
I have one more
is-
question on the reboot front.
Yeah, I go for it.
What is imagine you have an author such as the late Kentaro Miura, who's been working on a long series without reboots, without retcons for 10 years. And they've basically just gotten to a point where they go, wow, I screwed up the start. I really wish I could do over with what I know now about how things are going to be received. I wish I could start over. What do you have to say about that?
I mean,
I got to answer.
If it was the original, shut up for a second, Trym. Let me finish.
Man.
If it was the original author rewriting it to fit the later parts of their idea, yeah, I'd be fine with that, as long as they didn't change things too crucially. But yeah, I could totally be on board with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go for it. Now you can go, Trym.
Here we go. What JoJo's Bizarre Adventure did after Stone Ocean. That wasn't a reboot, but they got in and you managed to find a way to retell the story a bit.
I mean, it's a bit different because to have JoJo would require a coherent plot in order for a reboot to be a problem.
Well, I mean, it's not the best, but it's good in its own way. But I like how they incorporated the entire end game of Stone Ocean to just justify rebooting the whole thing, or rebooting without rebooting, so to speak. That's how we got Steel Ball Run and whatever the hell part 8 or 9 is.
Yeah.
I think JoJo's is a bad example because no one's watching it for the plot. They're just watching it because
Memes.
it is like it's like the anime version of literary fiction. The entire you're never looking at the whole thing. You just need to care about what the current scene is, and the current scene is always great.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, the guy who draws Rocky, I think, he puts a lot of thought into what he makes. It's just that he has a tendency of forgetting.
I mean,
You know, I would knock that, but I have definitely forgotten plot points from my own web novel, and it can take me a while to find where I established something.
Was there someone who said that Wheel of Time suffered the same problem once? Didn't you say that, Besic, once?
I don't think I was the one who said it, but we were
Oh.
talking about Wheel of Time. Because before he died, after his stroke, the Wheel of Time author kind of forgot a character
Yeah.
for a book.
And he was just playing cards.
Yeah. And like the 2 books just dragged on because post-strike the author had no idea what the hell was going on.
Is it bad that I never finished Wheel of Time?
I haven't either.
Yeah, I got,
I just
like,
lost
books straight
interest
out.
after the third book.
Like, it drags on to start with, and then it just gets worse as time goes on.
I'm just gonna say that one of the reasons I stopped reading was because the icy die piss me off. They're so annoying.
I will expand that to every female in the entire series.
Yeah, but that's just
I've heard that complaint before as well.
they're
Trym,
so
what
like
are you
self.
talking
Huh?
about?
The
Trym, what are you talking about?
the icy die are the resident witches of Wheel of Time. They're like the magic people,
Oh,
and
right, yeah.
it's like, oh, we know better than everyone. We're so much better than everyone, but we never make mistakes. No, we don't. And they're just so fucking smug and self-obsessed.
To be fair, that could be an interesting plot point if they then got their bloody comeuppance, but not if they were doing it for 17 books.
They kind of do immediately after fucking boasting about themselves, but it's just that they aren't self-conscious of being fucking idiots. They're just there to be a bunch of smug assholes. It fucking pisses me off.
Yeah.
We do what we want because we're better than you, and also you can't do magic because blah 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 blah. Fuck you.
Yeah. Magic systems are so hard for them to get right.
Yeah.
Like, especially as we were talking about Harry Potter, the magic system's just dog balls.
I mean, how do you find
I
new
have
spells?
a solution to the magic problem.
Yeah. And I still want to know, sorry, James, I still want to know why there aren't like 17 different kinetic absorption shields. Like, you'd think the first thing that a wizard would have tried to come up with in the 1700s is a shield that stops bullets.
Yeah.
What
Shield
does anyone
bracelets.
just punch a person?
Huh?
Sorry, I didn't catch that, James. Over Trym.
In Harry Potter, like, does no one just sucker punch the other guy?
No.
What? No, they gotta whip each other with their wands.
I mean, even once they get the sword of Griffin
Godric
nuts or
Gryffindor
whatever
or
his name
something.
is. Yeah, Godric Griffin nuts. They use it once. They stab a snake and that's it.
Don't forget, Neville Longballs is that's actually how we translated the name Longballa, long balls.
Yeah.
Neville, he actually used the sword once to kill Snake.
Yeah. True. Yeah, that's like it gets used like maybe twice. If you've got magic repelling swords, give everybody one.
Christ.
So I have a solution to the magic problem because the reason you get into those situations in a long series is the author wants to keep doing creative things and use the magic in new ways. In Wheel of Time, that's why there's literally no rules. until he starts exploring like the implications of opening dimensions to the nether or whatever it is. And it's because you need to keep things fresh. Brandon Sanderson actually kind of inverted that and said, well, if I tell you exactly what the limits are, you can then see how things are evolving, and that's how he did Mistborn. And I think he's actually dropping the ball with Rhythm of War, for the record. But in trying to keep the fresh magic, my solution that I use in my fantasy web novel was inspired by JoJo's. A good chunk of the population, not everyone, are born with an ability. One magic ability. They don't get to choose it. It's not necessarily useful. They can't change it. They can just get good with it if they want to. And therefore, it's not like one person can just accumulate all the magic. The main character heals. That is the only magic he can do. Is you stab him, he will heal, like Wolverine. With the exception of certain demons and the wizard, and they're held in check through basically mutually assured destruction, because they know if they're ever caught with their pants down and they don't have mana at the moment, they'll get killed immediately. That is how I get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, like one of the biggest parts, as I mentioned earlier, with Harry Potter, where its system falls apart, is they don't explain how the words impact the magic, why they need to be specifically pronounced the exact way every time, and why no new magic is being developed. In a lot of other systems, like especially in a lot of the Japanese fantasy crap, like the magic spells at least vaguely reference what they're doing, and like the words more like the spell helps the magician visualize it. Castless chanting is like one of the biggest examples.
So do you want the answer? I'm not sure that Rowling. I don't know if Rowling knows it's the answer. Oh my god! Stop! Let me just explain.
Interruption in the stream.
This type of magic, it's like, which is similar to Vancian magic, it comes out of the Dark Ages, because for hundreds of years following the fall of Rome, or Western Rome, anyways, there was a strongly held superstitious belief that praying to the correct saint, the correct angel with the correct prayer, would directly contact them for intervention with what you need, be it fertility, healing, crops, and so on. And if you didn't get the miracle you were asking for, the interpretation was that you didn't say the prayer right. It's you didn't pronounce the Latin correctly. You didn't have the right translation. You were given a phony copy of the Bible, because this is before the Council of Nicaea. And so there was this huge effort to collect the correct prayers that would, like, air quotes, actually get to the saints and angels. And that's where the belief comes from. That's where the magic system comes from. For hundreds of years, people were essentially casting spells, asking for intervention from God.
Yeah.
Which isn't a horrific magic system, and I've seen very similar ones done in a lot of different systems. Like a lot of sorcery, your basic or divine magics in your fantasy things. I'm a healer because I worship the goddess of healing. And then I go, hiya, 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 go goddess, heal thy heathen bastard, gum-sucking wounded fellow. Which at least is coherent.
I mean, you got something similar in Name of the Wind, as is if you manage to learn a name of things, it can be anything of an element or an object, you will have limited, if not total, domination of the thing because you know its name. And
which is also where you often get true names. Like anytime something touches onto demon magic, yes, I know the true name of the demon, or I know the true name of this human. I can therefore command them because I speak the correct words and call their true name.
You got Skullduggery Pleasant's very name focused on it. That's basically the source of a wizard's magic.
Yeah, and yeah, like Shade Master says, Harry Potter word spells make a bit more sense if you know that. Oh yes, yeah. Obviously that it's Latin inspired, but like again, if it's Latin inspired, you'd think there'd be a bit more magic research. Like, don't you think there'd be someone running around trying to find the Latin word for, I don't know, the Latin word for volcano, which is, I'm pretty sure, volcano. Then you'd do something fancy with that. But no, you've got things like Wingardium Leviosa or Petrificus Totalis, which, yes, that one makes sense. You can obviously see, like, the Latinized inspiration of that one.
So, an interesting question is, why is it that Latin? Latin is a language that existed for 1,000 years, and to call it is dead, yes, but we don't teach the latest form of Latin. The only Latin, if you like buy a book on how to speak and read Latin, you will get precisely the Latin that the Bible was written in.
Yeah, and not just that, you've also got Church Latin, which is different again, and weird and wrong. Like, you could as you mentioned earlier, we're talking about the prayers to saints and things. You could absolutely go into, oh, this isn't working because, like, maybe you could even invert it. This isn't working because you're using Church Latin, not correct Latin.
You know, my favorite. Oh, sorry.
Latin when that saint was alive. It's get really arcane.
Yep. Yeah, you might have to call upon them in the language they spoke.
That makes a lot of sense.
Like French.
Well, there's one magic system I like, and that is sort of the warlock system from one of the D&D versions. Is that you make a compact with a outside force or like a godlike entity, and then they give you a share of their power.
Yeah, D&D sorcery. I think it's sorcery.
Yeah, I really like that idea because it has the whole humans themselves don't really have that much power, but we can get it for a price. Because I hate when you have power for nothing. Like, Harry Potter sorcery is my least fucking favorite. Oh, look, we have only a few select people who can do the magic thing, but fuck it, I hate it.
Oh yeah, that's another problem with Harry Potter. Like, it's even worse on the laws of thermodynamics than most fantasy. Like, at least most fantasy hand waves it and goes, oh, mana. No, in Harry Potter, here is crap literally coming out of nothing. If you hand wave and go mana, it's a lot easier. Like, especially when and in reality we've got dark matter and things, and like maybe there's a dark anti-matter.
Hell, just go to Mass Effect. Go to Mass Effect. Element Zero. It's so much better fucking version of fuel for magic.
Well, yeah, you need some kind. In order to have an effect in the real world, you need the energy in the real world to come from somewhere. And usually it's easy enough to just go mana and wave it away.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in Harry Potter, it's literally, you can cast unlimited spells as quickly as you can make the correct wand motions and say the words.
Yeah. It's like they have super guns.
It's literally super guns, which makes you wonder, well, Hogwarts is clearly hundreds of years old. How do the wizards not rule the world? Because they can just go, you're dead, and you're dead, and you're dead. And shouldn't Expelliarmus work on fucking guns as well as wands?
And as for that, I think it's their quote unquote enlightened mentalities, which doesn't want them to rule. Yeah, which of course is ruined at once you watch the fucking first Fantastic Beasts. It's like, oh, you know too much. We're going to kill you now. So much for enlightened assholes.
Well, from the start, there's very, very harsh racism in Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, my muggle.
Yep, half-blood muggle.
So one thing to think about in this whole conversation is that despite all these errors and complaints and legitimate criticism, it still is one of the biggest franchises ever to hit the planet.
Oh yeah. I mean, I still enjoy the goddamn movies, despite hating the societal and magic system of it. I fucking love the Harry Potter movies.
Well, that's where J.K. Rowling had her success. She managed to make it fun. And then she, murdered in the last 3 books, but it was fun.
Yeah, I kind of liked it, though.
So, a lot of people, I think, get hung up on striving for perfection and then don't get anywhere when they're striving for perfection. And if you look at the best books ever, even if you find unassailable books that are popular, which I'm not going to name because that would start an argument.
Fair enough.
They have issues, and that doesn't mean they aren't great books and stories and movies and games and so on. Or in the case of Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the ending was crap. It was still the best that studio has ever produced.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do not disagree at all. But it also
we're coming up on 2 hours of streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dog is crying for a walk because it's her dinner time.
Poor thing. Well, I think it's been a pretty fun stream so far, and thank you for joining. If you guys want to end now, I can just we can do the shutdown protocol.
Trym, did you get a functioning order in for my books? I know Amazon screwed you the first time.
Nah, I haven't, but I don't have an Amazon account of my own. I'm torturing my best friend to do it for me because I refuse to have an Amazon account.
I think you can find me on every other major bookseller too.
Hell yeah.
I just don't have those links.
Well, I'll give it another try so I can actually get to read that book of yours because I kind of like both sides. I like cyberpunk, but I also like murder mystery, detective stories.
But what if your detective story is set in a cyberpunk universe?
Oh, now we're talking.
Was it you, Krake, that had the detective in a cyberpunk world?
Yes.
Yes, I thought so. We've got so many damned authors bumming around in the Sultan server.
Yeah. I mean, we have a fantasy author, we have a sci-fi author. We need more of different kinds.
Now, if Trym would get out of the way and actually shill someone properly, let's have a look. So, James Krake has written such books as Faceless, featuring a detective looking into the murder of a man who was deleted from the government surveillance system. In trying to get to the bottom of who the man was and how he got deleted, Elliot runs afoul of a new anonymous gang in the city. To unravel the mystery, he has to do what he hates most, play a VR video game that the victim created and left behind. Unfortunately, the person most suited to help him is his wife, and they haven't been able to speak without arguing in months.
Damn.
Or other books, such as Ship of Fuls, spelled F-U-L-S. If a problem can be shot, blown apart, or otherwise destroyed, Ranger Marcus Maximus, oh, I love the name, is an expert at that. Keeping a ship of scared civilians from tearing itself apart is not that kind of problem. After an unexpected attack on a backwater fuel mining station, 1,000 refugees are packed cheek to elbow aboard the Demos? Demos? I want to say Demos. Is D-E-M-O-S the correct spelling there, James?
Same pronunciation as democracy.
Yeah, right. Demos, right. They are forced to hide in the depths of space until help can come. But who is help and who will kill them is a judgment call for the captain, unless people every day agree on who the captain should be. Marcus has to decide who to side with and who to betray, because the wrong captain might just turn him over for the bounty on his head. And then, of course, we have the new book coming out soon, TM, which...
December 5th.
Sorry, what date?
December 5th. Pre-orders are live.
Yeah, could you give us the name and the 2 seconds one-line summary, please?
It is Infinite Money Glitch. The most advanced video game in the world is so popular that the in-game gold is a recognized currency on Earth, but that does not mean it was programmed particularly well. Some of the sentient NPCs have just discovered an exploit in the market, and it might just be time to buy their world back from the players, if they can pull it off, that is. Infinite Money Glitch is a hilarious hybrid of a heist and an adventure pulled off by the last group of people anyone would ever expect. After all, who actually remembers the merchant from the tutorial zone? But he remembers you.
Yes, very much so. So links to James's Twitter and Amazon.com are located in the description to this video. Go check him out. Amazon should have the new book attached to his name soon, but they're Amazon and they suck and they're being slow, so you can always just give it the old search route.
That works.
Meanwhile, in other news, at the turn of the hour, Trym's Art Shack is releasing another time-lapse, this one featuring friend of the channel, the man who plays with wood on a party.
He has been given a face.
Yes, he has been given. It's an interesting face. And if you look deep into his eyes, you see something disturbing.
Yes, you might see himself.
You might see the true nature of the artist.
But what is it? Is it really a party?
Well, you'll have to check the time lapse when it goes live in 4 minutes to find out, won't you?
Yes. Drop by and have a look-see.
Indeed.
So, James, you got any closing words? Or are you satisfied with Besic just really giving you the workaround?
I'm totally satisfied with that. Thanks for having me on. Great chat.
It's been a pleasure having you on, and I hope you want to drop back because I'm not finishing this one unless we're talking.
I really should take one of these the next call from my own painting station. I've been completely neglecting my own painting.
Ooh.
The Bleach returns. He is alive.
Never fear, Bleach was here. So that means he still isn't here. He was just here. He was, but still not here. Sad. Well, that is that's pretty much the best kind of fill and summary I could have hoped for. I mean, Besic is the best at this, apparently, as he says.
I mean, it doesn't take much to be better than Trym.
I mean, you're right, but fuck you still. Well, I want to say thank you, Besic, for joining in and once again helping me out in this impossible thing known as technology. And James Craig, it's been a pleasure having you here. I hope to see you again on the stream. And with that, I want to say to everyone, thank you for joining. Thank you for having hopefully as much fun as I've had, and have a nice week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Ron.
Bye.